The international break is finally over and the Champions League is back. And you know what that means, Matchday 5 predictions. These Champions League predictions may be a little bit different than some of my previous predictions because during this international break, there were a lot of injuries. Vinicius Jr., Gavi, Camavinga, Warren Zaire-Emery, and much more. So because of that, some teams may have to start a little bit different lineups, and this could affect them in their performances this match day. But if you didn't already know, in today's video, I'm going to be predicting every single match from Group A all the way down to Group H. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. Starting off in Group A, the first match we got is Galatasaray against Manchester United. I think this is going to be a very tough game because I think Galatasaray have been playing very well so far in this Champions League. And if they were to win this game, I think that would pretty much secure their spot to make it out of the group. But on the other hand, Manchester United have been playing horribly. They have lost against Bayern Munich, Galatasaray, and against Copenhagen in their recent game, and they only have one win so far in this group. I find this very surprising because I think Man United are a good team, although they may be having a lot of issues with the manager, with some players, with the ownership, and all that type of stuff. I still think they are a top team, and before this Champions League, I was definitely expecting them to make it out of this group. But at the current moment, they sit at the very bottom of this group, and they need to get this win if they want a chance to make it out. So I think this game is going to be very close, goals from both sides, but I do think Man United will just edge it a little bit, and I think they're going to win 2-1. The next game in Group A is Bayern Munich against Copenhagen. Bayern Munich have been pretty much what you would expect in this group. They are at the top of the group and they've won every single game, and I don't think that's going to stop. Copenhagen have surprised me a little bit because I thought at the start of the Champions League that they were the worst team in the whole entire Champions League. But they have been proving so far against Galatasaray and in their recent game against Man United that they are still a good team. But in this game, I only see one result happening, and that is Bayern Munich getting the 3 points. They're playing in Germany. Harry Kane is playing incredibly right now. I would expect him to score maybe 2 goals in this game, and I do think Bayern Munich will win this game 3-1. Moving on to Group B, the first game we got is Sevilla against PSV. And in my opinion, I think this game could go either way because Sevilla in the La Liga are a very poor team this season. But in the UEFA competitions, they're always a very tough team. While PSV, on the other hand, have been incredible in the Eredivisie. But in terms of Champions League, they don't have that much experience. I know Sevilla aren't on the best of form right now, but they are playing this game in Spain, and with the support of the crazy Sevilla fans, I do think they will grind out a 1-0 victory. The next game in Group B is Arsenal against Lens, and in their last encounter, Lens upsetted a lot of people around the world because Arsenal were definitely the favorites to win that game, but Lens ended up winning 2-1. Since that game, Arsenal have been on pretty good form. They've won most of their games in the Premier League, but they have had a few hiccups here and there against Newcastle, against Chelsea. But against Lens, I do think Arsenal will win this game. Will it be an easy game? Definitely not. I do think Lens are going to play well in this game. They will be attacking, but I think they're going to struggle to score. And for that reason, I think Arsenal will win 2-0. Moving on to Group C, the first game we got is Real Madrid against Napoli, and this is going to be a very close match. On any normal day, I would expect Real Madrid to pretty comfortably win this game because they're playing in Spain and they are one of the best teams in the world. But recently, especially in this last international break, Real Madrid's injury list is getting bigger and bigger. Players like Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Rodrigo, Vinicius will all be missing in this game. And especially Vinicius and Rodrigo have been their main attacking force so far this season, obviously with the loss of Karim Benzema. But since they will not be playing in this game, I think Napoli could possibly get a win from this game. Now, I am currently recording this video on Friday, so I haven't seen any games from Napoli under their new manager, Walter Mazzarri. So I don't really know if they're going to play good, if they're going to play poorly. I don't really know. But I still do think Napoli can get something out of this game. So my score prediction will be 1-1. The next game in Group C is Braga against Union Berlin. For the sake of me being a Napoli fan, I do really hope that these teams draw or Union Berlin wins. Because if Braga win this game and then in the next game they beat Napoli, then they will end up advancing. So I do hope Union Berlin can get at least a draw from this game, but sadly I just don't see it happening. In Union Berlin's last 14 games, they have drawn one of those games, and the other 13 games have all been losses. They are on the worst form out of any other team in the world. And for that reason, I can only see Braga winning this game. Braga may not be on the best form either, but compared to Union Berlin, they are definitely the better team, and I think they're going to win this game 2-0. Moving on to Group D, the first game we got is Benfica against Inter Milan. Although Benfica are playing horribly so far in this Champions League, you cannot forget that they are a top team. They're one of the best teams in the Liga Portugal, and in the group stages, they always have that ability to give teams trouble. I actually think that this game is going to be a very high scoring game. I'm going to predict 5 goals in total, but Inter Milan will end up winning 3-2. The next game in Group D is Real Sociedad against Salzburg. I've been really underrating Real Sociedad because normally in the La Liga, they are a good team, but I never really expect them to play this well, especially in the Champions League. Salzburg are playing pretty well so far in this Champions League, and they are 3rd place in their group. But against Real Sociedad at home, I think they will dominate Salzburg in this game, and I think they will win 3-0. Moving on to Group E, the first game we got is Lazio against Celtic. In their last game, Celtic were very close to getting a draw and maybe even winning that game, but Lazio came up clutch in the 95th minute and scored the winner. And now they're playing in Italy, and I think Lazio will pretty comfortably win this game. Celtic, like I've said in the past, are one of those teams that have the ability to pull out upsets, but generally they are a pretty poor team, especially if you consider the other teams in this group. So for that reason, I will predict Lazio to win this game 3-1. The other game in Group E is Feyenoord against Atletico Madrid, and this is going to be a tough game. Both sets of fans from both of these teams are crazy. They're some of the wildest fans that I've ever seen. And now that they're playing in the Netherlands, I think it's going to be very tough for Atletico Madrid to win this game. We've seen how good Atletico Madrid are this season, and it wouldn't surprise me if they win this game, but I'm going to go with a draw. I think this game has a draw written all over it, and I'm going to predict a 1-1 scoreline. Moving on to the group of death, the first game we got is AC Milan against Dortmund. If I'm going to be 100% honest, Dortmund have really surprised me so far in this Champions League, because when the groups were made, a lot of people were predicting Dortmund to finish last in this group, but currently they are in 1st place. But in this game, AC Milan are playing at home, and we've seen how tough it is to go to the San Siro and win. Against PSG in the last match day, AC Milan were playing at home and they absolutely destroyed them. And sadly for Dortmund, I think it's going to be a very similar result to what happened with PSG. I do think that Dortmund will be able to score in this game, but I still think Milan will be the dominant team, and I think they're going to win 2-1. The next game in Group F is PSG against Newcastle. We all saw what happened last time when PSG went to Newcastle, because they got destroyed 4-1. But in this game, I think PSG will destroy Newcastle. Newcastle recently have been struggling a lot. In their last 2 games against Dortmund, they lost both of those games. And since then, they have picked up a few more injuries, and currently over 50% of their starting lineup is injured. I think PSG will be able to take advantage of all these injuries, and I think they will win this game pretty comfortably. I'm going to predict 3-1. Moving on to Group G, the first game we got is Manchester City against RB Leipzig. This is another very tough game for Manchester City because Leipzig are a very good team. They made some great signings in the summer, and currently in the Bundesliga they are near the top and they're playing phenomenal football. But Manchester City are the best team in the world. If this was against one of the other teams in the Champions League, I think Leipzig would have a pretty good chance. But against Manchester City, they have no chance. I do think Leipzig will score at least 1 goal in this game because recently we've seen Manchester City conceding a few more goals than Pep Guardiola would like. But I still think Manchester City will pretty comfortably win this game, and I'm going to predict 3-1. The next game in Group G is Young Boys against FK Crvena Zvezda. This game could go either way. Both teams are fairly low ranking teams in this Champions League, but I do think Young Boys will be able to win this game. So far this Champions League, we've seen Young Boys score goals against Man City, against RB Leipzig, but they just haven't been able to defend properly and keep a clean sheet. But I do think that they will keep a clean sheet in this game. Crvena Zvezda are a good team, as obviously you have to be a good team to make it into the Champions League. But I think they will have trouble scoring in this game, and for that reason, I'm going to predict Young Boys to win 1-0. Moving on to Group H, the final group in the Champions League, we have Shakhtar Donetsk against Royal Antwerp. I've been saying this since the start of the Champions League. Shakhtar Donetsk are a very slept-on team, and in the group stages, they have the ability to upset teams. They already beat Royal Antwerp, they beat Barcelona in their previous game, and I think they will win again in this game. Royal Antwerp sadly are the worst team in this Champions League. Out of their first 4 games, they still have 0 wins and they have a goal difference of -11. So in this game against Shakhtar Donetsk, I don't see any way that they'll be able to get a result. I do think Shakhtar will dominate this game, and I'm going to predict a 2-0 win. And finally, the last game in this match day is FC Barcelona against FC Porto. And this is going to be, in my opinion, a very tough game for both teams. Both Barcelona and Porto currently sit at the top of the Champions League group with 9 points and a goal difference of +6. But they both need to win this game if they want to ensure that they will advance out of this group, because Shakhtar Donetsk is not far behind with 6 points. Barcelona are definitely the better team, but in recent weeks they have had a few injuries. We saw Marc-Andre ter Stegen get injured, Gavi recently got injured in the international break, and I've already said this in many other videos, Porto are one of the toughest Champions League group stage opponents to verse. I don't know what it is about them. Their fans, their players, but they are just ruthless, and they are always a very, very tough team to face. Barcelona are obviously coming off a very poor performance against Shakhtar, while Porto, on the other hand, are coming off a very convincing performance against Royal Antwerp. So for that reason, I'm going to predict a draw in this game. I don't think either team will get the win that they want, and I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. And that is the end of my Champions League predictions for the 5th match day. If you guys agree with my predictions, let me know in the comments down below. But if you disagree with my predictions and you think one team is going to upset another team, again, let me know in the comments down below, because I love hearing your guys' feedback and your predictions on these Champions League fixtures. And obviously, if you did enjoy this video, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos.